Do you know what a Protean career is? In the 21st century, you're probably trying to develop one without even knowing it. This has some interesting implications for diversity and inclusion. I'm Dr. Jonathan. I work with organizations to make them inclusive, and I'm on a mission to help 1 million people like you to make your workplace inclusive. Get your pen and paper ready because we're going to be talking about Protean careers, why it matters to you, and why it matters for diversity and inclusion. So what is a Protean career? It's a phrase often used interchangeably with a boundaryless career, but it's slightly different. If you haven't heard the term Protean career before, don't worry, you will in the near future. The term Protean comes from Proteus, a sea god from Greek mythology. It's said that Proteus was able to predict the future. It's said that Proteus was a shapeshifter, versatile and adaptive. And these traits of being versatile and adaptive are key characteristics of a Protean career. The term emerged in the 70s in the work of Professor Douglas T. Hall, who's the Charlotte Friedman Professor of Management in the School of Management at Boston University. Professor Hall used these traits of being versatile and adaptive to inform his ideas about a Protean career, which has two primary features. The Protean career is defined as a career in which the person is 1. Values-driven, in the sense that the person's internal values provide the guidance and measure of success for their career. And 2. Self-directed, in personal career management, having the ability to be adaptive in terms of performance and learning demands. That's value-driven and self-directed. You may hear this and think, well, that makes sense. But remember what I said. This idea was first presented in the 70s. That's over 40 years ago. This concept would have been novel, if not controversial. Now, it seems like common sense. This episode is being recorded in 2020, where the idea that there's no jobs for life, the idea that industries don't offer long-term security, the idea that people need to rely on themselves for career management. These ideas are not novel. These ideas are not controversial. The old days and the old ways are over. What about the new days? What about the new ways? Recent events have accelerated the idea that you, not your employer, is responsible for managing your career and your development. Now, I'm not going to labor this point because as a regular listener to the show, I already know that you're committed to learning and development. Maybe your employer told you to listen to this show in order to get informed and educated, but chances are they didn't. You relied on your own initiative because you're managing your own Protean career. Okay, so what's a Protean career got to do with diversity and inclusion? Well, there's an inconvenient question here. If we accept that employers are taking less responsibility for managing people's careers, if we accept that people need to be self-directed in personal career management, then why are organizations spending money on initiatives to develop women, to develop people with disabilities, to develop people from minority ethnic groups? Why are they doing that? Why should they develop strategies for creating inclusion when budgets are tight, when revenues are down, when people are taking permanent pay cuts so that they can keep their jobs? Surely they've got more reason to do less and let everyone fend for themselves in a world of self-directed personal career management. Well, here's the thing. Self-directed personal career management was the second feature of a Protean career. Maybe we should reconsider the first feature, which is being values-driven. If we accept that we're all being encouraged down this Protean career route, then values matter. Not only that, but who defines values in the workplace matters. They matter to employees, therefore it's going to matter to employers. And you know why? Because as part of a Protean career, people shape their career according to their own internal values and beliefs, instead of an organization's values and beliefs. And this is really important because this has an influence on who wants to work where. Because people with a Protean career attitude, they use their personal identity. They use it as a guide for career decisions. And this makes complete sense to me personally. We do it ourselves. We don't work with organizations whose values aren't aligned with our own. We just don't do it. And let's be frank, that costs money. That costs opportunities with organizations that you know, in the short term at least. And we've got a very particular approach here. You know that. Not everyone has our values, but you already know what our values are. If you're listening to this, I think your values are aligned with our values. You know what we believe, and you know what we want. We believe that people are the most important part of any organization, and that everyone should have the opportunity to reach their potential in the workplace. We want inclusion, where everyone can perform and everyone can belong. Everyone can reach their potential. We go to a lot of trouble to explain this each and every week. Why? Because I'm on a mission to help 1 million people like you to make your workplace inclusive. That's what we're doing here. But what about you? What if you're talented, motivated, productive, and trustworthy? What if you have ethical standards based on your lived experience, based on your personal identity, based on your values? What happens if your employer doesn't meet your ethical standards? How are they going to keep a person like you? How are they going to attract a person like you? The double-edged sword of a Protean career suggests that in the new days, the new way is for employers to demonstrate their values and live by it. That's how they keep a person like you engaged. Look at what happened during the pandemic. As organizations locked down, they cut budgets and discretionary spend. Some diversity and inclusion leaders were begging for relevance in the press as all the D&I budgets were cut. Following the murder of George Floyd, the impact of Black Lives Matter, it completely switched. Organizations were falling over themselves to show their values, how they were anti-racist, how they were inclusive, how diversity and inclusion was relevant. This is during a crisis when discretionary spend has been cut. This suggests that diversity and inclusion isn't discretionary, it's necessary. Demonstrating values became necessary in the 21st century. In the 21st century, if you don't reflect the right values, this is going to affect not only your employees, but other stakeholders, suppliers, partners, investors, your clients. Let's not forget, your clients have values too. Maybe it's not just about employees. Maybe it's not just about clients. The real question is, what is it about where you work? If we accept the idea of a Protean workforce, I think that's something that you need to know. So let's wrap this up. What are the key messages here? 1. Protean careers are value-driven by individuals. 2. Protean careers are self-directed in terms of career management. And 3. Protean careers require organizations to demonstrate their values. So what do you think? Do you have a Protean career? Get in touch or leave a message. I would love to hear from you. If you've learned something from today's show, then give us a review on iTunes. It helps other people like you to find the show. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.